Hey guys, all right, it's Tark with Cyclone FPV, and we're getting ready to get to our software only section. We only have a few things left to do with the hardware, but unfortunately, something kind of glitched on me here, and I'm really disappointed about it. So I had just done this video, and for some reason, it didn't save. It said that there was a memory issue on the machines, and so you're going to see this already done now, and now I'm going to basically take it apart real quickly to show you what I did. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice here is that I mounted the VTX or the receiver antennas. And I also put the silicone pad right here, the LiPo pad that you're using for your battery, okay? And then I put the top on. So I'm gonna take this off and show you what I did. I'm sorry about that, guys. I hadn't had a problem all day, and then all of a sudden this, and apparently there were just too many videos, and it just took up too much memory on the system. So I've now removed those, and hopefully we can do this again, and it should be no issue at all. All right, so the first thing that we were doing, and there's only so much of this I can take off, okay? So I'm gonna see how I'm gonna do this because I don't wanna mess too much of this up. But the main thing was to get to the binding of the receiver and putting our antenna on and stuff like that, okay? So let me show you what I did. First thing is I covered over how to bind your receiver. Now I said I was gonna tape the receiver on the bottom of the top plate, which is what I did right here. I put a piece of electric tape, or not electric tape, double-sided tape, and it's basically in the center here, but on this side towards the end. So make sure that you put a piece of double-sided tape with your receiver, right, which we already attached in the last video. And then I put a little bit of hot glue between the back of the receiver and the tape. It gives it a little bit more strength, but that's where that mounted, okay? Here's what you do need to see, though. One of the things you need to see is how to bind this receiver, okay? So I also told you guys how to check for continuity. That was another thing that was in that video that you're not going to see. So here's what I did with that. This is going to help to make sure that we don't have any wires crossed. Okay, so I'm going to get out the multimeter, which is what we did earlier. I'm going to get out the multimeter. I'm going to turn it on mine. The continuity is right here. And by the way, we have these on our site. If you need some, you go to our website and get these. Okay, they're very inexpensive. So if the wires are crossed, you'll hear that beep. Okay, if they're not, you won't hear anything. So watch what happens. Positive, ground. Okay, now that's just an initial touch. That doesn't mean anything. Here goes. As I touch them together, there's nothing, which means there's no continuity here. At least there shouldn't be. Touch them, there is. Touch them here and here, there's not. So far it looks, sorry, I just slipped. So far it looks good, okay? So that means it's safe for us to go ahead and try to plug it in. Now, there's a second step to this that I want you guys to know about, which is it's this little device called a smoke stopper. Now, I will tell you that it doesn't work all the time. I just fried a board last week, and I was hoping the smoke stopper would have caught it, and it didn't, and I was tired, and I accidentally soldered two wires together. I bridged them, right? So here's a smoke stopper. That's what this piece is right here. It's got a little circuitry in it, but basically you come in with your battery, then you go out to your board, and somewhere in here, if you ground this out, it's supposed to stop it before it fries. Yes, except on the super sensitive things. So this is kind of like a good fail-safe, but not necessarily the holy grail of fail-safes, okay? So what we're gonna do is, first thing we wanna do is, I'm sorry, one last piece I need to explain to you. There is a switch on your flight controller, and you're gonna see it right here. So here's your digital readout of the channel that you're on, right? There's this little white switch right here, okay? I'm switching this to the right. When you switch that to the right, it means that your VTX is turned off. The reason it's turned off is because on these videos, if that turns on any of the frequency that our wireless is on here while doing the videos, it's going to pause our video immediately, and it basically shuts everything down. So to avoid shutting down this video series in the middle of the video, I'm turning the VTX off, which means I'm flipping the switch to the right, okay? If you flip it to the left, you can turn your VTX on and you will start getting video transmitted from your camera to your goggles or to your TV screen or whatever it may be. If you switch it to the right, it's off. What that means is when I plug in my power, you will not see this light up. But if I plug in my USB, by default it lights up no matter what. So that doesn't mean it's on, it's just part of the USB 5-volt plug-in. But it does not light up when the XT60 is plugged in, and that means it's not powering the VTX. So that's just something for you to notice as to why my board will not do the same thing yours will, okay, which is light up the VTX. And to be honest with you, if you're practicing with your board, right, if you're doing all this and you don't think you're going to be flying, but you're going to have it on, like programming and stuff, turn your VTX off. Flip that switch to the right anyway because you don't want it to overheat, and those overheat. Lastly, I put the antenna on here, and here's the antenna that I used. You should have the same thing. This is the antenna right here. Okay, it's a little tiny antenna, and it goes on this little circle right here on your flight controller. So you just basically place it over it, and then you press it down, and it snaps right in. You can just leave it sitting right there. That's pretty much it that you need to know now. What we're going to do now is cover the binding. So I'm going to plug in my battery. I'm using actually an AC to DC converter, but it's the same thing as battery. And I'm going to hold this bind switch. You see this little switch? It's right here on your receiver, okay? Press that down when you turn it on. Watch. See that? Now it's blinking really fast. You can hear the buzzer going, so we know we got our buzzer hooked up properly. Look at that blinking really fast. Now take your radio. While that's blinking, that's in bind mode, power up your radio. See? Radio beeps, light stops. These two are now bound. You're good to go. You just linked your receiver to your radio, and you're done. You can now turn your receiver off. You'll notice now that your light on your, or turn your radio off, you'll notice the light on your receiver is now blinking. It's like trying to find the signal, okay? On your radio, do me a favor and make sure all your switches, these 3 switches, are pushed away from you. Make sure all these 4 switches here are aimed down, and make sure the one that's on your that says VTail, make sure it's in the middle, it's normal position. That's it. As far as that goes, you're done with that. Now you can turn your radio, you can unplug your power, okay? There you go. And that pretty much wraps it up. So that's what we lost. The only thing left that I did in the video that you haven't seen is how I did the antennas, and I'm going to show you that real quickly. But first things first, get your 6mm screws and start putting the top on here. You are officially done with your build as far as hardware. And then I'm going to show you what I did for the landing pads. I really can't believe that video that didn't save. That's really a pain. I should have checked the memory. I didn't even think about how many videos I'd done today, but it's definitely stacking up on taking up memory. All right, so let's just screw this down. All right, we want to get this done properly. And we've only got 4 screws left. I also, in that video that is lost, I also, not only did I do all this and put the landing pads on, but I also put the remaining 2 screws under each motor so that all motors have 4 screws. So might as well go ahead and plan on doing that too when you get some time, okay? It's not critical. I said you could fly with just 2, but for the sake of learning how to do it properly, we're not looking for shortcuts, put all 4 in, okay? All right, now, let me put this last screw in and I'll show you what I did on the flip side. Okay, so you've got these landing pads, these little foam pads that look like this, right? So these came in your kit too. Those are self-adhesive pads. So what I did is in between each, let me get these loose, in between each set of zip ties, okay, I put the landing pad. So just peel the back off and stick it on 4 times, and then I put the 4 screws total in each side. I went back and tightened everything down, excuse me, just to make sure it's all good, okay? Once that's done, the only other thing left that I want to show you is how I did these. So here's what I did. I'm going to show you, let me see the easiest way to show you, I guess. You know what, I'll just redo them. It's okay, no big deal. No harm, no foul. Let's just, I think I'll redo them. These are on there pretty good. Okay, so maybe I'll just show you this way. So what I did was, you have these slots right here, and I took this zip tie, and I went through the slot, and I came back up through the hole here, right? So let me show you. Just kind of like this, okay? And I fed it all the way through, and then I zip tied it, and I had the zip tie kind of leaning backwards. I then took the antenna wire from the receiver. I really would like to just do this again with you, but oh, you know what? There you go. Okay, so let me just, here, this is simple, all right? So I'm just going to cut one. I'm going to leave this one on. I'm just going to cut one off, and I'll show you how I did that one, okay? So let's just remove this one real quick, okay? So take the wire, take the antenna wire out, because it goes in last. Yeah, this way I can just do one. That'll be simple. The other one looks like it's pretty stuck in there too. Okay, so take your zip tie, go down through the slot, and then turn it around and go back up through that hole right there. If I can get it. Okay. Sorry. You just want to basically U-turn. There we go. Okay. Grab it, feed it through. Just like that. And then put the zip tie down. Okay. All right, make sure it's good and tight. You're going to see it kind of leaning like that right there, okay? Now, take your receiver wire and pass it through that hole right there. Where is it? There you go. Feed it through that hole as well. Lean it up on that zip tie just like that. Get a heat shrink tube, a little bit of heat shrink like this, just enough to fit over both pieces. Run it down and then heat it up just like this, okay? And you'll do that for both of them. Heat it up, and then as it's getting hot, kind of just bend it away a little bit. These things can make like a V from each other. This setup is not going to give a big V, so it's not going to be like perfect, but it'll be excellent for what you need to use it for. Okay, so we're just going to heat both sides, make sure that it holds it in place. And what this is going to do is this is going to allow for some given during a wreck, right? So this is going to allow for some give, okay? So when you do it like this, and then if you wreck, these are going to go back, and then they can come back pretty easily. So that's how you do your antennas. Do both of them the same way. Then for your battery strap, here's what you do. So you take your battery. Now I know this is a little different than probably the one that you got, but you take your battery strap, right, and you just run it through, and make sure you don't snag any wires. So go above all the wires, okay, and make sure the label is facing you, right? You take your battery, like this one right here, and you place it on the silicone pad right here, okay, and then you just come around like that, just like this, tight, and then there you go. Battery's not moving. Then you can just plug that in and you're good to go, okay? So that is how you set this up, and that is what I covered in the video that was just lost. And that video was 18 minutes and this video is only 11, so we made it through, and I saved y'all 7 minutes of boring stuff. Okay, so that's that, guys. So at this point is when I was telling you, basically you're done. All the hardware is finished. There's no more soldering, there's no more heat gun, there's no more screwdrivers, there's no more nothing. All you're going to need now is some software. You're going to need Betaflight, you're going to need BL Heli, you're going to need a micro USB cable, and you're going to need a computer. And I'm going to show you how to do all that next. So please get everything ready, get your table cleaned off. It is time to go and take our time to now program and get ready to fly. Okay, if you have any questions, guys, there you go. If you have any questions, please go to our website and send them to me. We've only got one video left, maybe two, but I mean, I think I'm going to do all the software in one, so it might be a little bit longer. But you should be flying here in no time, okay? If you have any questions, use that link at the bottom there. And otherwise, guys, we will see you soon for the last video. Peace.